big time win last night for Purdue over Akron. They beat a really good Akron team, 97-79. Akron ended up kind of backdoor covering there on the Vegas lines, but Purdue was able to cover the analytics Ken Palm projections, which was 16 points, which both Ethan and I accurately projected that. And yeah, really impressive game. I think the score is a little closer than the game was. For almost the entire game, it was a 20-point deficit for Akron. Purdue kind of got the lead up and didn't really relinquish that very much. Mostly on the back of Trey Kaufman-Renn, his second straight Ken Palm MVP in his first two games. He dominated on the glass again. I think he was kind of the story, as well as Oscar Clough, just kind of making it the Purdue front court in general that really kind of dominated this game. But I'll throw it to you first to kind of get your full thoughts.
Yeah, this was another dominant rebounding performance against an admittedly undersized Akron team. You and I came on the preview here and kind of discussed like Akron should or Purdue should be able to significantly out rebound this Akron team, and they did. But this, I mean, last year Purdue wasn't doing this to teams like Akron, right? So this is a massively positive sign. It's good that it wasn't just the Alabama game that the guys got up for and really outworked Alabama for. Like this is something, at least with Trey in the lineup, that they can do consistently. Oscar Clough, with probably his best game as a Boilermaker, 14 and 14, along with an assist. Like he was everywhere when Trey wasn't on the glass. I mean, he was gobbling stuff up, putting it back. They were feeding him down low, and he was just rising up and slamming it home. Like this was the Oscar Clough Purdue fans thought we were getting when we signed him back in March, and it's only 2 games, so take that with a grain of salt. And it's also 2 games against undersized front courts, so it remains to be seen, I guess, how they'll look against some of the top rebounding front courts in the country, like a Michigan and Illinois, a Duke, whatever. We'll see when we play those teams if they're able to hold their own. But right now, if Trey Kaufman and Oscar Clough are playing like this might be one of the best rebounding front courts in the country.
Yeah, Purdue rebounded over half of their own misses, which is just like an absurd number. This team missed what, 32 shots and had 19 offensive rebounds. No, I guess my math's probably a little off because a couple of those came on free throw misses. But yeah, just like an otherworldly rebounding performance, I think, and a lot of it looks very replicable. Like Oscar Clough, I think has kind of been a different player the last couple games. He's a lot more physical down low. I think he's kind of using his size to move guys around a lot better. And then Trey Kaufman-Renn is flying around on both ends. Like the way that he comes crashing down on the glass for rebounds and kind of comes flying in. I don't really recall him doing that last year, and I think is kind of why the rebounding numbers were a little bit lower. But also part of that is he had to play a little bit. He couldn't get into foul trouble. He couldn't overexert himself, and quite frankly, he was really the only good big down there that like Caleb Furst just wasn't a big enough physical presence. Trey Kaufman-Renn was kind of the focal point of other teams underneath the basket, and that meant that like there was a lot of emphasis on blocking Trey Kaufman-Renn out and being physical with him. And I think the addition of Oscar Clough has really made it so that you can't just kind of focus in on Trey Kaufman-Renn. And now that he's kind of become the secondary rebounder, he's started to dominate because teams just don't have enough bodies to put physicality on both him and Oscar Clough.
Yeah, I mean, we really can't overstate how good Kaufman-Renn has been as a rebounder lately. Like he's been phenomenal, and he is playing like a different player. And there's been some debate in Purdue circles to like why that is, or what should get credit for that. I think it's a mix of things. First of all, he is just straight up rebounding at a level we have never seen before. He's playing with an intensity on the glass that he never has. And, it's such a game changer for this team to have 2 elite rebounders in the front court, which Purdue hasn't had probably since the days of Isaac Haas and Caleb Swanigan playing next to each other. And that is incredible. I mean, Trey Kaufman-Renn just straight up looks like the second coming of Caleb Swanigan right now.
He
Like
does. He's
he looks
ridiculous.
like if he is playing at this level, like Braden Smith's main competition for National Player of the Year might be his teammate.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard for Braden Smith to win National Player of the Year if his teammate wins Ken Palm MVP every game. Like, Trey Kaufman-Renn had
Insane.
17 and 15 tonight. He's averaging 15 rebounds per game. We know he can score. He's the one of the best, if not the best scorer in the entire country. We already knew that coming into the year. He looks like one of the best rebounders in the country as well now. And I mean, if he's like one of the best scorers and one of the best rebounders, and the playmaking has been there too through 2 games. Like you see, well, there was a great play where they doubled the post on Trey Kaufman-Renn in the first half, I believe, and Clough cut toward the basket. The weak side Akron defender has to tag Clough rolling, otherwise it's an open dunk. You can't get that up. Kaufman-Renn's able to throw a pass cross court over everyone to a wide open Fletcher Lawyer, and it kind of was just like the entire thing of Purdue's offense. It's like, we have an All-American in the post, can't let him go one-on-one. He's going to get whatever he wants, so you bring a double. Well, if you bring a double, you've got the 7-footer for a wide-open dunk, and if you take that away, well, you're giving a wide-open look to a 45% three-point shooter. And, of course, the look went in. Like, kind of everything, the embodiment of Purdue's offense was at play to me. Just so many weapons everywhere. Just can't speak enough about Trey Kaufman-Renn through 2 games. He's kind of been the engine, but you mentioned Braden. A little bit of a quieter game. I think this was definitely a Braden game where he was very content to let the supporting cast get their shine. We got lots of great minutes from Omer Mayer. I was really, really excited to see that. But Ken, what did you see from the preseason National Player of the Year? Any cause for concern, or is this how much concern can you really have for a guy who went 16 and 10 with 3 turnovers?
Yeah, you said a bit of a quiet game, and I guess that's true. But I mean, my God, if that's a quiet Braden game, what's a loud one? Like 16 and 10 and 3, 2 steals, just 3 turnovers. And you're right. I mean, he only played 27 minutes, and for much of the second half, even when he was on the floor, Omer was playing so well. They just let him take the reins on that and kind of run the offense. He got some looks off some Omer passes, and I guess if there's one sort of criticism of his game, he did go 4 for 12 from the floor. It was not a great shooting game for Braden. And he's, I think, outside the Oakland game, just hasn't shot it super well overall. He shot it really well from 3 against Alabama, like from the floor overall. His percentage wasn't great in that game. So, man, what's it going to look like when his shot starts going in at the rate we're used to? Like, this is a 50, 40, 90 caliber player who's shooting 40% from the floor right now. Like, if he's just able to get a couple of more of these kind of layups to go in, like, he could be averaging 20 and 10.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a world where Braden Smith averages 20 and 10, and I don't even think is the Ken Palm MVP half the games he plays.
And not if Trey Kaufman-Renn's going to average 15 rebounds a game.
Yeah, on efficient shooting, like that's another thing.
7 of 10 from the floor, 15 rebounds. He had 7 offensive rebounds, 8 on the defensive. Like,
he looks like the second best player in the. He looks like the best player in the country. Straight up, he looks like the best player in the country right now. Through 2 games that we've seen Trey Kaufman-Renn, he legitimately looks like one of, if not the best player in the country. Like,
I'm so excited to see him and JT Toppin go at it.
That's going to be
fingers crossed we get that matchup because Wake's looking feisty right now. But fingers crossed we get that matchup, man. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a battle. Christian Anderson and Braden Smith will be a really fun one too as well. I think that's a great matchup. But we're getting ahead of our skis here a little bit. Throw it back to the Akron game. But yeah, we mentioned Omer Mayer. I feel like it's fair to get to him pretty early this game. Kind of a little bit of a coming out party. Purdue fans have been excited for him. He had some good minutes in the first 3 games, but really came on strong here tonight. Had 14, 6, and 4. He had 3 turnovers, but overall, I thought he handled the Akron pressure pretty well. Thought he made good decisions. Thought he was great passing the ball. Shots went in tonight. I think he's actually putting a little bit of pressure on the rim. Like, I didn't think there'd be any pressure being put on the rim by him. He's getting there a little bit. I don't think he's really looking to score when he gets there, but he is at least drawing defenders. He's beating guys off the dribble. He's just such a dynamic changeup for this offense. It's this kind of bouncy, like Energizer Bunny type, just come in and create his own shot. And wow, that shot looks good when he lets it go. I mean, every time he shoots, I think it's going in.
Yeah, his shot is gorgeous. 5 for 10 from the floor in this game, 3 for 7 from three. So, just efficient shooting night for him. I got to the line, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. I thought he looked good defensively in this game. He had 3 turnovers, and they were 3 pretty sloppy turnovers. So that's the one criticism of his game last night was that he had some bad decisions with the ball, attempted a few passes he probably shouldn't have, tried a ill-advised cross-court pass with a lurking defender that sort of picked it off like a free safety and easy layup on the other end. Like, he has to clean that up. There were a few times he would dribble into like 3 guys and just kind of lose the ball. But I mean, he's a true freshman. He's an 18-year-old true freshman playing his fourth college basketball game. Like, a lot of the sell on Meyer over the summer was like, it's going to take him some time to acclimate, but next year he's going to be special. He looks like he might be special this year. Like, he is playing so well next to Braden. And you and I got on here and speculated before the season based on some of the exhibitions and especially the fan day scrimmage a couple weeks ago that you really couldn't play Omer on this floor at the same time as both Braden and Fletcher. I don't think you're necessarily super concerned about that anymore. Now, I think ideally you'd still like to have one of CJ or Jakari on the floor for defensive purposes. I don't think that's a line they're going to go to consistently. But it's not unplayable the way we thought it would be, and that's a huge ceiling raiser for this team.
Yeah, I mean, they went to it in the Alabama game.
Yeah.
At least I think I saw that. Saw them on the floor together for the Alabama game, and I didn't really particularly notice them getting, fried more than anybody else or anything. And I think the defensive struggles with Omer were really overblown. I kind of came into this season here like from all the talk around Omer, it was kind of like, oh well, this guy's like a negative defender. Like he's just a terrible defender. I don't see that at all. Like he had one really bad play where he got back cut pretty bad, and you like I think it was the freshman Mahaffey brother had a dunk, like a baseline back cut for a dunk, and I don't even think Mahaffey had even put it in the basket yet, and he's already like turning around with the bench, like hand up, like coach, that's on me. I got it. That was really the only play. Otherwise, I think he's really good on ball. Actually, he's physical. He moves his feet well. I don't think he's getting beat by guys off the dribble really bad. And off ball, like he's not really getting lost a ton of time. He gets lost every once in a while, but he's a freshman. That happens. And then the offensive upside is just so there. Like he's so ready to contribute at the college level right now that it's hard to keep him off the floor.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation about like, oh, would they consider putting him on the starting lineup? I don't think you need to. I think his role right now off the bench is pretty solid, and CJ hasn't been super productive this year. He had a solid game against Oakland, but other than that, he's been pretty quiet. Just 1 for 5 from the floor in this game, 3 points, 1 rebound. He did have a nice block on a 3-point attempt from behind, just like reached up and snatched that thing, but. He's doing his job. He's in the game to play defense and be a connective piece around 3 guys who need the ball a ton. So I don't think that starter at that spot is ever really going to have a ton of offensive production. And Painter seems to be pretty consistent with the substitution patterns right now, where Meyer comes in 10, 12 minutes left or so for Braden, plays a couple of minutes, and then Braden comes back in for Fletch. And they play them next to each other for a while, and then Fletch comes back in for Omer, and that pattern for the first half, and then Omer's second half minutes will probably really vary dramatically game to game, because I don't think, as much as we're talking about like, oh, you can play him next to Braden Fletch, I don't think they will for long stretches.
No,
so in competitive games like against Alabama, for example, Omer barely played in the second half just because Braden wasn't coming off the floor, and you're not taking Fletcher Lawyer off the floor for a different off-ball shooter. So, his second half minutes, I think, will vary dramatically throughout the year. He could have anywhere from 10 to 18 minutes a night, depending on the matchup and how things are going. But his role is Britain's backup, and the fun actions they can run together when they're both on the floor seem pretty set. And as a scorer, man, I mentioned this, I think, in a text to you while we were watching the Alabama game, but man, he'd be so much fun to watch in a NATO's offense. Like the way he plays, you can tell like he is so used to the more free flowing European style of basketball than the one that Painter plays, and everyone else is like kind of slow. All right, we have the ball back. Let's slow the tempo down. We don't want to give Akron any run out. So he's just flying up the court and just getting to the elbow and firing it away, and like just absolutely the Carson Edwards of in Painter's system, where it really doesn't matter what Painter tells him to do. He's going to take his shots when he wants to.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a guy more excited to take like a contested midi with 22 seconds left on the shot clock than Omer. And he does it with a smile on his face the entire time. And it's like, how can you be mad at it? And then it goes in. And you're like, okay, well,
it's this great, against Alabama for sure. That's probably why he didn't play a ton in the second half, because like Painter's whole strategy for that game is like throttle down the pace. Like, do not let Alabama play this on their terms. And Omer's like, give me the ball. Let's go.
Well, and even like I thought Braden in that game did a great job of walking the ball up to really, I mean, he brought that pace to a crawl. And Omer would get the ball, and Bama was doing a good job of putting pressure on him. And he'd make one move and beat the guy. And then he's like, up the court. He's like, it's go time. Like, it's Omer time now. It's I beat this guy. Like,
we're playing basketball, right? Why?
I score. I put orange thing in. I put orange round thing and 10-foot orange thing, and he does that pretty well. And I'm really excited for what he's bringing.
I was in a wedding last weekend. I think I might have mentioned this in one of the recaps that I was out of town for. And of course, in the wedding party, you're doing the rehearsal, and they keep telling you gotta walk slower. You gotta walk because they got the music, and there's like a specific pace you're supposed to walk down the aisle and split off and everything. And it's unnatural walking pace. Like, it's so weird to just like have to like so deliberately slow your tempo down. And then you had the ring bearer, who was the groom's little 5-year-old nephew, who was just like sprinting down the aisle with that Homer to me. Like, it's just every time it's like, okay, slow, remember, got the ambiance, the pomp and circus, like just gotta take it slow. And he's just got the ball. Let's go.
And then it's creation time. It's Omer time, and
yeah,
it's fun to watch. We mentioned the shooting guard spot though, and I think that's kind of the one negative takeaway, or one negative from this game. Not a ton from CJ or Jakari. As CJ played 24 minutes, Jakari only played 16. I think that's pretty much kind of going to be the story for minutes this year. Is they're going to probably add up to pretty much exactly 40. You're going to try and have one of them on the floor at almost all times. The short length of time that you play Omer, Fletch, and Braden together will probably be counterbalanced by the short stretches of time you play CJ and Jakari together. And they'll probably end up with a lot of 40 minutes combined games. Jakari was efficient tonight. He was 2 for 2 from 2, 0 for 1 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the free throw line, had 6 points and an assist, 2 offensive rebounds as well. CJ, as you mentioned, did not have quite as great of a game from the floor. Overall, kind of just a quiet night in general, though, from the shooting guard spot. What do you think that's something that we should kind of expect from this Purdue team, or are we just waiting for these guys, for one of them to kind of break out and have themselves a game?
I think it's a mix of things. I think it's just going to be hard for either of them, or really anybody who's not an elite talent, like any more role player types, to have super high scoring nights given the shot volume they're going to have. Right? Like, CJ took 5 shots. That's probably the most he's had in a game outside of Oakland. Like, when you're playing, and honestly, we probably should have talked about this more last year. There's just so few shots to go around. I mean, it's even different than the Zach Edey years, where it's like, well, Edey's going to take like 40% of the shots or whatever. And then, well, Braden Fletch are going to get theirs. And then when Lance Jones was here, he was just such a vetty score first mentality on offense, and he took a lot of shots that if you put Painter up to a lie detector, he probably would have preferred someone else to take at times. But CJ and it's just not opportunities for them. And we're seeing that with Miles Colvin, who's at Wake Forest now. He's coming off the bench there, but he's playing like 30 minutes a night, taking a ton of shots. He's one of their best scorers, and he seems to have like highlight reel plays every night now. He had like a 3/4 court buzzer beater against whatever low major they were playing the other night. He just needed more shot volume to really he's a volume scorer, a somewhat inefficient one, and that just wasn't going to fit with where this Purdue team was. I think you're going to see something similar if one of CJ or Jakari goes elsewhere next year, which not to get too ahead of ourselves, but there's probably a decent chance that one of them transfers. They're probably going to be more productive because they're going to have a bigger role. And that might not necessarily translate to more minutes, but I do think one thing Purdue fans misunderstand a little bit is minutes aren't the only measure of someone's role. Like, CJ is a great ball handler. He's a great scorer off the dribble. Like, if they wanted, if a team wanted to lean on CJ Cox as one of their primary scorers, they could, right? Obviously, they wouldn't lead to a team as successful as Purdue, or else he would be one of this team's primary scorers. But this is a very long-winded way of saying I don't think there's any cause for concern necessarily. I do think you'd like to see better shot making from both of them. Neither of them is shooting super well on the year right now. But we know both of these guys. CJ especially is like a 40% three-point shooter, and Jakari had a hot streak to end last year. He had a really cold streak to start last year. He's probably somewhere in the middle. I don't know if he's like a 40% guy, but he's 35 to 38%, something like that, over the course of a season. So their shots will start going in at some point. I just don't think there's ever really going to be an opportunity for them, unless it's against like Eastern Illinois or Kent State or whoever, Minnesota, maybe like Nebraska last year, CJ had 27. But like in the big games and in those big moments, I just don't think there's going to be a ton of shots for them. And so their box scores are probably always going to look a little uninspiring relative to what their talent level would suggest.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think going through it, like tonight really showed too that at best they're going to be like the sixth and seventh options. Like I think ideally you have Braden, TKR, Fletcher, probably in that order. Maybe switch Braden, TKR. I don't semantics in that sense. All three of those are pretty clearly ahead of CJ and Jakari. And I think in an ideal world, Clough is kind of your fourth option, and Omer is your fifth option, kind of explosive guy, especially when a couple of your more primary options aren't on the floor or pretty much all Omer minutes. And so I think that just kind of leads Jakari and CJ to being these just kind of off ball guys. I think this was kind of a rough CJ game. I don't think he didn't make shots, and I think that's kind of the determining factor for him. I thought there were some good things from Jakari, especially defensively. I thought he made some nice defensive plays. He had that really tough layup on the baseline. I think that was promising. I think that the rim pressure numbers could go up for him, and if that happens, I think that's kind of the step I'm hoping that either of them take. Like I know the shot making is going to be there sporadically, especially with CJ, with how good of a shot maker he is. But if Jakari can be this more consistent kind of rim pressure force and be the more kind of athletic guard with size that I think he can be for this Purdue team, I think that's kind of a step he could take that's very reasonable and this Purdue team could benefit a lot from. And wanted to move on to the kind of final spot on the roster that we have very similar conversations about, but I think in this game it's the opposite. Daniel Jacobson and Oscar Clough were just fantastic in this game. Oscar Clough, his best game in a Purdue uniform, I think, had 14 points, 14 rebounds. Jacobson himself had 9 points. He also had 4 blocks. Between the two to be able to combine for 23 points and 15 rebounds with 4 blocks, like that's really, really good for the center spot. And if you get that on a nightly basis, you're really, really happy with that.
Absolutely. Daniel Jacobson has to be one of the better backup centers in the country. He gave you 9 points, only 2 rebounds, but he had a steal and 4 blocks. in 19 minutes. I think it's pretty clear at this point now that Clough has kind of gotten his feet under him at this level. Like, he is clearly the better option. But Jacobson does something Clough doesn't, and that's block shots. Like, his role is so clearly defined on this team. He's going to play, 15 to 18 minutes a night, and he's going to swat shots while he's in the game. And on offense, like, I love his touch around the rim. He could stand to dunk it more for sure. But he has such great touch on his layups. Like, if he gets stronger, like it's really clear right now, even against Akron, and we talked about Akron's lack of size in the preview, he was getting pushed off his spot constantly on offense, and on defense, which just leaves him out of position for rebounds sometimes. And you see him like trying to like kind of rebound outside of his area because he's forced to, because they're able to push him off the block or whatever, and he's just not quite strong enough yet to do that. But I think he'll step right into the starting role really cleanly next year. And for this year, he gave you exactly what you needed to. He had a 3. His shot still looks a little flat, but this time it went in. You'd like to see those rebounding numbers up, but he's, I don't think, really ever going to be a plus rebounder. And when you have Clough and Kaufman-Renn grabbing 29 combined rebounds, you don't really need him to do much more than just, score around the bucket and swat shots.
Yeah, so I think this is a good kind of reminder that, like, the way we built up Jacobson to be in the offseason, I think a little bit, and not us specifically, but kind of people around the Purdue program in particular, there was almost this talk of like, well, he's going to be a plus shooter and he's going to be an average rebounder and this elite rim protector while giving you good stuff inside offensively. And it like, looking back on it, it was almost to a point where it's like, well, if he was that good of a player, like, we would have known that by now. He's not that complete of a player. That's an NBA guy. Like, that's an incredible collegiate basketball player that, yeah, if Purdue did have that guy, like, hand him the national championship right now.
That's like, Derek Lively. You're describing right. Derek Lively.
I'm better than Derek Lively. Like, Derek Lively with a jumper. Like, Derek Lively with a jumper is like
Derek Lively with a jumper. Derek Lively, who started the finals 2 years ago for the Mavs.
Right.
Like, that's what you're describing there
right now. And I think this was like Clough being the starter is going to end up being great for Jacobson because it's going to allow him to do the unicorny 7'4" mobile shot blocking 3-point shooting things without making the kind of glaring weaknesses in his game massive weaknesses to Purdue's team in general. And I think that's what I'm most excited for, and what this game was most about is that, you had the glaring weaknesses for Jacobson. He didn't rebound well. That was like the floor for Jacobson rebounding wise. And you still came out of it being like, well, he hit a 3, he blocked 4 shots, he's in a limited role, and the guy that he's backing up hauled in 15 rebounds himself. Who cares? Like, who cares that he only had 2 rebounds? He played 15 minutes, hit a 3, and blocked 4 shots. That's all we need him to do. And I think it's such a good role for him to be able to do those unicorny special things that makes him such a unique player while not having to worry about, like, oh, my rebounding is just not quite there yet. And that being a huge hole for Purdue.
Absolutely. I mean, we kind of joked about the NBA stuff, but that is also why, like, there are some NBA scouts intrigued with his game. Like, he does have an NBA skill set for sure. Well, it's just a question of, like, is he ever going to get good enough at those skills to be an NBA guy? And he could be like a Walker Kessler or Ryan Kalkbrenner type, where he's like a 4-year college player. And there's always just sort of this talk of like, he'd be like a late first, early or second round guy. It just ends up coming back to school every year and then ends up in the NBA where he's immediately productive as a rookie for an NBA team. Like, I could absolutely see Jacobson going on that kind of trajectory, but he has a ways to go to get there. That's also okay. He's a freshman coming off a major leg injury. Like, as much as he did work in the offseason, he was still limited. Had to spend a lot of that time rehabbing his injury.
And right? as much as Purdue people liked him as a recruit too, it wasn't like this was a top 20 kid or a 5-star or anything. I mean, he was ranked outside the top 100 for most of his high school career, I believe, until the very last ratings correction kind of jumped him up to 54. But this isn't a guy with like a one and done type pedigree that's expected go to the NBA after this year.
Yeah, and rebounding was really never one of his calling cards. Like, even when he was doing all that stuff on the U19 circuit that started, or the U18 that year, which like really opened people's eyes to like, whoa, Purdue's got a real one here. Like he still wasn't rebounding super well. He was starting on that team, but Merez Johnson was the more productive center on that team because he was more physically ready to be. And Jacobson is an elite shot blocker. Didn't he break like Miles Turner's shot blocking record at that event, if I remember correctly, or at
Yeah.
least came close to it? Like he is an NBA level shot blocker right now. It's just he needs to get a lot stronger. His hands need to get better. He needs to be a better rebounder. He's able to hold position without getting pushed around. He still ends up on the ground a lot, which is a little bit scary at his height. So this is a long conversation for 9 points and 2 rebounds, but I think this is just what you're going to expect from Jacobson this year. And if there's a game where he's just getting pushed around way too much, just bring Clough back in and have him play 28 minutes instead of 25, and you'll be okay. But if in a game like this where they were split almost completely evenly, 21 minutes versus 19, Jacobson did his job when he was in there. He protected the rim.
That's about all he did for the most part.
That's really all he needs to do.
Yeah,
and like he also offers
he
also offers a different skill set than Clough offensively. He can space the floor. So you can run some different looks if you're like, okay, like Clough and Wren clearly have kind of figured out their chemistry together, but for whatever reason, if it's getting too clogged in the paint, just bring in Jacobson and have him stand in the corner, and he's actually someone they have to guard there.
Yeah, I think for all of the questions I think there were to be had after the first 2 games about role definition in the front court, like I think they've been answered. Part of that is just getting Trey Kaufman-Renn back. And then Clough got his feet wet, and it is so clear that he's just at this point he's the starter, and he's going to be a good starting center. Like he's going to be a really good starting center, I think. And
I mean, at this point, he's closer to making an all-conference team than he is going to the bench.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I mean, he looks like the clear 4th option on this team at this point, which I didn't think would. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure that would ever happen because to an extent I was kind of like, well, he's going to rebound, but is he would you rather feature Oscar Clough or would you rather feature CJ Cox as the 4th option? And you're kind of splitting hairs there, and you're not really featuring anyone at the 4th option, but. Yeah, it's become clear to me he's just a productive basketball player. Like you play him 25, 30 minutes and he's going to be productive. And I'm really excited for what Clough is going to bring. So
he's averaging 11.5 points and 11 rebounds and 2 assists per game right now.
Yeah, that's like back end all conference numbers on an elite team. Like
Trey Kaufman-Renn's averaging 18 and 15 with 3 assists. So move over, Oscar Clough.
Get out of the way so Trey can get back to 20. But with that, I feel like we've done the center spot justice with a good kind of closing 10 minutes for their excellent play. They deserved it though. They had a great game. They definitely deserve their shine in the spotlight alongside Trey Kaufman-Renn, who my theory is that someone told him that like people pay attention to rebounds, and he just learned that this offseason, that like rebounds count in the stat book too, not just points. And so now he's like, well, not only can I look really good in the points category, but man, I can look good in the rebounds category. And I don't know who figured it out, how to get that across to him, but it worked. Keep doing that because he looks incredible right now. And we're going to the Bahamas in this upcoming week. Not us specifically, Ethan and I wish. But
fun, though.
The Purdue basketball team will be taking their talents down to the Bahamas to play Memphis, and then either JT Toppin, like we talked about, or a familiar foe in Miles Colvin. So as always, we will have previews for those games coming. We don't know the second opponent yet. We will find that out, and we'll kind of have stuff up as quick as we can to make sure you guys get your content that you're looking for. So with that, thanks for listening, everyone. Like and subscribe, and have a good weekend or a good rest of your week.